Alright, yeah. I'll admit it to you. I very much sold out because I saw this and I was just like, okay, I gotta do it. Anyways, we're doing this because Arkham gameplay is coming to the channel soon. We're gonna, of course, start with Batman Arkham Asylum, and I thought it would be nice to have you guys have my thoughts on my Batman villain tier list. I think Batman has one of, if not the best, rogues gallery in all the comics, and I think it's time to admire what we have seen from our Caped Crusader in his adventures and the type of villains that he fights. So, yeah. But, like, if we're gonna get started, like, let's be real here. You're not gonna beat the confidence of crime. You're not gonna beat him. It's that simple. Joker's maybe the best villain in all of fiction. Possibly. Like, you can make your case from, like, Palpatine or Vader, or, like, what is it? Mr. Hyde, and, like, that, Frankenstein, well, Dr. Frankenstein, and, Dracula, but, like, Joker is right up there with some of the greatest villains in the history of fiction. I mean, you just have to admire that. And his relationship with Batman is just unlike. It's like there's no comparison. His relationship with Batman, the fact that he has to say when it's assumed in Batman, the New Avengers, the Batman, that this somehow like no good crook just somehow killed Batman. Like, Joker literally says, without Batman, crime has no punchline. Like, it needs one. But, like, those two need each other in order to operate. If Batman doesn't exist, then Joker doesn't exist. If Joker doesn't exist, Batman doesn't exist. They're yin and yang. Two sides of the same coin, pretty much. And they just... It's weird to say, but they're meant for each other. Okay, Harley. Harleen Quinzel, of course, created by Paul Dini, Bruce Timm for Batman the Animated Series. Harleen's... This is a villain tier list. I gotta put her I gotta put her at a solid A. Because what Harley's been mostly a villain for all her time in the DC universe. And it was only like with the New 52, of course, after Flashpoint and all that Harley became this anti-hero, but now more so hero in the DC comics, and it's really predicted very well in the Harley Quinn animated show. And yeah, Harley's will do anything for herself, but she does have a heart. She will do things for other people, and she does recognize that sometimes she does things that are wrong, and she's got a conscience. Joker doesn't have a conscience. He'll kill anybody for any reason. But yeah, Harley's an A tier, as just when her being a villain, as we were saying. Croc. Ooh. Killer Croc. I like Waylon. I think Waylon's a very interesting character in that he is this child with degenerative disease. He, of course, makes him look like a crocodile. Waylon's story is like so incredibly tragic. As a Batman villain, you have to... I gotta put him here. I gotta put him in the B category because he's really, when you think about it, he's just really just an assailant for all these other like big boss villains. So I think I got to put Waylon at C because he's not gonna be the big mastermind behind an entire plan. Croc's not that way. Croc just does things for Croc, and if he has to align himself with other villains in order to get that, then he'll do it. He'll kill anybody in his way, but you're not going to see him breaking down Batman piece by piece and becoming like an actual rival to him. So I think that's what Waylon Jones Killer Croc goes at B. I know there's many different iterations of Clayface, but we're gonna stick with Basil Carlo, the main iteration of Clayface. Clayface, for most of his history, has been a villain, and it wasn't until recently, into like late departure of the New 52, and what is it? And then the start of Rebirth that Clayface, Basil Carlo, became a hero. He became a hero with Batman. I think his most interesting story, honestly, is probably that in the Arkham games, and just like he fooled Batman, but then again, he's really just standing for Joker at that point. And then, but these recent ones with Detective Comics, they're very, very interesting. Just really goes into how Basil was just like rejected and bullied a lot in his acting career, and it's a tragic story. But I think I gotta put him right here with Croc. You're not gonna see him being the mastermind of everything. He's really just gonna be a pawn for the most part, because Basil still got a heart, and he understands that sometimes what he's doing is wrong, but he's doing it for the betterment of himself. So I think Basil's got to go at B. Edward Nygma, the Riddler. Ooh. I gotta be honest with you. Batman Forever didn't really ruin him for me. Like, I don't think Jim Carrey obviously was not the right choice to play the Riddler. Maybe in the 60s, yeah, but not in like a big Batman motion picture. It's supposed to be kind of like serious. So Edward, Arkham games didn't really do him justice. Movie was terrible. Hopefully the new Batman movie makes him like great. Of course you have 0 Year for Batman. It was a great storyline for the Riddler. And then you have War, Jokes, and Riddles. Amazing story. Amazing Batman story involving both Joker and of course Riddler. Edward's lore is not very complex in that he just wants to be better than Batman. He wants to. The day that he outsmarts Batman is the day he's done, because he doesn't have to be smarter than anybody now. Because the day that you're smarter than Batman, you're pretty much the smartest person on the entire planet. Like, let's be real here. So, I would say that Edward, I think Edward's top of our A category, or at least one of the tops of our A category. Let me switch that. Yeah, Edward's is a better villain than Harley ever was, and I just find like his comic book stories make him an amazing character. Video games and the movies don't do him the justice that the comics really do. Black Mask. I know there have been multiple iterations of Black Mask, most specifically in like just like his main narration, Roman Sionis, and then like that new one that came around in Battle for the Cow. But we're, of course, sticking with Roman Sionis. Roman. I gotta say Roman. It would have been cool to see Roman as like a big player. Like he was supposed to be the main villain of Arkham Origins, but of course the Arkham series is all about the relationship between the Batman and the Joker. And of course, Arkham Origins told the story about the night that they first met. Black Mask was really just kind of there on that night. That night he was just really just getting back his empire, selling drugs and crap. So, I want to say Roman. I honestly think Ewan McGregor did a really great job at reinventing Roman Sionis' character, making him like more of a psychopath. I gotta put Roman at C. I don't know what it is. Roman is just not the greatest villain. He's a very good mob boss. Like, if you're going like Carmine Falcone and the crime families, Roman's gang is probably the best. But the Falcone is really up there. And the Falcones and the Maronis. So, yeah, I put Roman at a C. Ooh, Talia. Talia is such a huge part of the Batman lore, of course, with Damian. Her giving Bruce Damian. As a villain, where would I put Talia? Thinking. I'd probably put Talia right here. I just think that like she's such a huge part of the Batman lore. Great villain? No, she's really Batman's love interest. One of many, of course. But the biggest thing she's done is give Bruce Damian. Yeah, she did drug him and forced him basically to give her Damian. But I think Talia is just... I don't think Talia is the greatest villain because she's never trying to kill Bruce. She's never really trying to do that. She's really just trying to show she really just wants to be with Bruce, and she has to do some unfortunate things in order to try and make that happen, but I just think Talia's not the most amazing villain, if we're going basically villain here. So I'd put Talia at top tier B. Yeah. Oh, Slade Wilson, Terminator, aka Deathstroke. As a Batman villain. Because if we were talking Teen Titans, right there. No question about it. He's probably their best villain. Him and Trigon are like neck and neck. I'd probably say still Slade's a better villain than Trigon. But this isn't Teen Titans. This is Batman. And as a Batman villain, he's like a really low A, but a really high B. I gotta put him right behind Talia. He's just like, as a Batman, we're talking, again, Batman villains. He's just not really a Batman villain. I think Slade's is really Teen Titan, but more specifically like Dick Grayson villain. And Slade doesn't really have any quarrel with Batman. So because he's just a gun for hire. He's cool as gun for hire, but like he's not like Slade's really just there to be there because he has to if he wants his money. So I don't really see Slade as a major Batman villain. That's just my opinion. Ooh, Red Hood. Jason Todd, of course. Of course, Red Hood's a hero now. Everybody knows Red Hood's a hero now. But if we're talking about villainy Red Hood, he's right about there. Under the Red Hood, of course, amazing story. Almost as good animated movie. The animated movie for Under the Red Hood is right up there with like Mask of the Phantasm. But I think villain Jason Todd is pretty much up there. I think he's just pretty much up there. And then his story with Dick Grayson Batman, it was actually pretty good. So I would put Jason right here. And then also Battle for the Cow as like the murder bat. So yeah, I put Jason there. The Batman Who Laughs. S. He's an S tier villain. He's literally pretty much Venom. Let's make that clear and simple. He's pretty much Venom, but for Batman, of course. But Venom is not the Batman Who Laughs. Oh, and where the Batman Who Laughs was introduced in Dark Knight Origins and Dark Knight's Metal. Amazing story told by Scott Snyder over there, and drawn beautifully by Greg Capullo. I think Jeff Johns helped a little bit on it too. It was just an amazing story told, because the Batman Who's Last story is pretty much over now. He was pretty much just the main piece for Barbados' army of Dark Knights. He has the Roblins. I think that's what they're called. Dude, that shit's a terrifying. But just how important that the Batman Who Laughs is, not just to the lore of Batman, but to the entire DC universe. Let me phrase that again. Not the entire DC universe, the entire DC omniverse. That's how important the Batman Who Laughs is. Because if you don't know, in Dark Knight's Death Metal, he becomes, of course, takes over the Earth, and he, of course, becomes the Darkest Knight. And there's literally pretty much two things that were more powerful than the Batman Who Laughs. And that was an anti-crisis energy filled Wonder Woman, who, of course, like Wonder Woman's like, of course she's going to be filled with anti-crisis energy, which is basically, crisis energy is basically the energy that is released after every single crisis, which of course started with Crisis on Infinite Earths. I think that, and then literally the freaking the like that hand of creation thing that brings you to like the beginning of time, the beginning of the creation itself. Literally, it's that scary. He's even more powerful than the presence. Literally, more powerful than the presence. Who's the god of DC, by the way. But yeah, with what the Batman Who Laughs did in surviving surviving Dark Knight's metal, breaching through the hole through the source wall, from entering from the dark multiverse, and then after that being able to, who, if you don't know, in Doomsday Clock, Ozymandias from Watchmen asked like his AI, like, oh, who are the smartest people on this planet? And he said Bruce Wayne and Lex Luthor. Of course, being Batman and the enemy Superman, Lex Luthor. Said Lex Luthor is the smartest person on the entire planet. They're pretty much neck and neck, but Lex Luthor is the smartest person on the entire planet. And then what the Batman Who Laughs did completely outsmarted. Lex Luthor thought he had the Batman Who Laughs beat. No, because the Batman Who Laughs was in league with Perpetua, who is, of course, the mother of the multiverse. And that really just told you that. Like, because this is the Batman Who Laughs is Batman with no morals. Batman with no sentiment. Batman who really just doesn't give a shit about anything. Nothing. And what the Batman Who Laughs was able to do to outsmart Lex Luthor, it's just simply amazing. And then fill himself with crisis energy, and he won. He in Dark Metal he won. He made Wonder Woman destroy him, and everything reset. When you are a being who is literally able to reset the entire multiverse, and he could have destroyed it if he wanted to, but he wanted Diana. Like, either you destroy me, or the multiverse is filled with darkness. You destroy me and the multiverse is completely reset, or the multiverse will be filled with darkness and nothing will ever be able to change that. So Diana had to kill him, and the Batman Who Laughs wins. He is literally the being responsible for resetting the entire DC, not just multiverse, DC omniverse. And now we're in future state, and the being who's responsible for that is the Batman Who Laughs. So he's just really so unbelievably important. Probably the best creation in the past 10 years in all the comics, I would say. Him and like Noel, like the symbiote god for Marvel. Probably these two are the top. Ooh, Garfield Lynns, aka Firefly. Garfield. I gotta put Garfield at D. I just yeah, tragic story, third degree burns and everything, but like, Garfield's kind of annoying. If I have to be honest, I do not like Garfield. I think he's like, the concept of him is so cool. There's so much potential for Garfield's character, but I just don't think that he'll ever get there. He's just not like masterminding enough. He's like he's really hot-headed, partially a pun, and he just doesn't. He doesn't like he's too in his own way in order to be a mastermind. Tommy Elliott, Hush, of course. Gotta go away. He's like right there, right behind Riddler, I would say. Hush, just like Batman Hush in general. Oh, great, amazing story. Of course, with like, but like, of course, like really captured with Jim Lee's drawing. It was such an amazing story, and just that Tommy Elliott being the childhood friend of Bruce Wayne, and like he killed his, like he wanted his parents to die. Like the kid was psychotic. Like as a kid, the guy was psychotic. So I really like that about Tommy Elliott. Jarvis Tetch, the Mad Hatter. As a concept, you'd probably say a C. I gotta put Jarvis at a D. Jarvis is just not like... He's not a huge character. He's, personally for me, he's not a character that I'm really fond of. I kind of find him actually quite annoying whenever the Mad Hatter shows up. So, I don't really... I think Jarvis does have a good, like, in Batman animated series with this episode, I think Jarvis is a good character in Batman the animated series, but pretty much in everything else, he's kind of just there. Just in the way. So, I think Jarvis animated series, I like him. Jarvis in anything else, he's pretty just meh. Victor Zsasz. Victor. I'm gonna put Victor in B. Let me tell you why I'm putting Victor in B. Victor's just a guy. Nothing special about him. He's just psychotic. That's literally it. Literally, he's just psychopath. Like, of course, like Victor has cuts all over his body, signifying his kills, and of course he has the best thing about his character is that he literally has a spot on his body that he'll never cut because it was reserved for Batman. It's reserved for Batman. But yeah, I think Victor is a very interesting character. He's a very tragic character as well. And his childhood was just terrible. But like, I think Zsasz deserves to be there. Okay, Floyd Lawton, aka Deadshot, the world's greatest assassin, of course. I'm gonna have to put Lawton like behind Deathstroke, but in front of Zsasz, because Lawton is a very interesting character. Because he is the world's greatest assassin, is the thing. Yes, he's better than Deathstroke. He's the world's greatest assassin, but is he really a villain? He's really just a gun. He's the gun for hire. If there's someone you want to die, you're gonna call Floyd Lawton. And I just really think that Floyd's not gonna be the criminal mastermind of anything. The only thing he's going to be the mastermind of is his own team, and that would be the Suicide Squad. So I'd put Floyd here. I think that's fair. Hugo Strange. Hugo. I think Hugo's here. Hugo's here because, of course, like, Hugo's is a good villain psychologically for Batman, and that he toys with him. His best story is probably, I think most of us would agree, of course, is Batman Arkham City. Like, he was an amazing, he was a great villain in Batman Arkham City. His character was written wonderfully by Paul Dini, and I just like Hugo's. When written well, Hugo is an amazing villain. When written just like normally, he's middle of the pack to bottom of the barrel. So that's I gotta put him there, because if he's written well, he's an amazing character. But if he's written poorly to middle, he's kind of bottomish of the barrel, honestly. Ooh, Prometheus. Prometheus was basically Batman Who Laughs before the Batman Who Laughs, but also kind of not. I put Prometheus right here. No. Never mind. Put Prometheus right there. Prometheus, written well, is an A-level character. Prometheus, written to be there, is on the level with Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Because if Prometheus isn't the center of a story, there's really no reason for Prometheus to be there, and he's really just a thug at that point. Yeah, it's interesting, like, same way. His parents were criminals. It was basically Prometheus' story is, what if Batman's parents were criminals? That was basically it. Oh, the ventriloquist and Scarface. I like them. I honestly think they're honestly some of my favorite characters. I would put them above Zaz. No, I put them in between Zaz and Strange. And I like the ventriloquist. The ventriloquist is a very complex character because he suffers from split personality disorder, and that's the whole deal with Mr. Scarface. So, and it's really cool how the ventriloquist uses Mr. Scarface over here, and like there's this whole mystery still around, and most people would really just relate it to, oh, the guy's just crazy and split personalities. One's like law obedient and just he's just a guy, and then you have this other side of his personality who's like a mobster and just like heartless, ruthless human being. But there's this mystery behind it. It's like, is the ventriloquist really a personality disorder, or is that puppet, or is that dummy, actually alive? Like, there's weird how like they can, like, the writers can make us see like this thing might be supernatural. We don't know. It's never been confirmed whether Scarface is it's never been 100. It's always leaned towards, he's just ventriloquist is just crazy. But there is still that hint of mystery, like this thing might be supernatural, and we just don't know it. Now we go to Kirk Langstrom, aka Man-Bat. Kirk's, of course, another tragic story. Drank the serum, wanted to be healthier, of course, and ended up turning himself into a bat, a giant bat. For me, Kirk's about here. I like his story, and of course with his wife. Another tragic one, of course. But I think Kirk can be more expanded upon. I think he definitely can. His episode in the animated series, and then in actually the Batman animated series. I think those are the best stories that I really know him for. There's also with like the woman bat, lady bat, whatever her name is, his wife. Those are really tragic ones. But like the ones in Batman animated series and the Batman animated series are pretty good. Anarchy's here. Anarchy's about there. He's just a kid. He's a kid who doesn't agree with the he's basically a kid who's just like whose whole idea is eat the rich. Poor kid who's just really eat the rich. It's interesting how how a kid can lead this entire group and just, but that's pretty much the only interesting part about him. He's political. Oh. Professor Pig, Laszlo Valentine. I honestly find Laszlo more interesting than Garfield, than Mad Hatter, and than Anarchy. Jervis is really just there sometimes. Garfield's too hot-headed, can't only gets in his own way. Laszlo is just a freaking maniac, creating these Dollatrons and everything. Really just a terrible, terrible human being. But I would rather watch something with Laszlo Valentine as our main villain rather than any of these three. Like, especially in that Gotham arc with Professor Pig. It was an amazing story on that show. And also his side mission in Arkham Knight is just, with the opera music and everything, it's, or that shit's scary. When you really, really think about it. Professor Pig is a very scary character. Catwoman. Top of the B. You could consider a low A. Top of the B. Because Selina's not really a villain, per se. She's really just Batman's pretty much primary love interest. And she's part of the Bat family. So, I wouldn't call Selina a villain. And when she is, she's just a jewel thief when it comes to it. But when she betrays Batman, her betrayals are surprisingly shocking a lot of the time. So, yeah, I would put Selina there. The Court of Owls. The court's got to go up here with the Batman Who Laughs. Because just how important the court is to the entire mythos of Gotham is just so unbelievable. When they were first revealed in the New 52 and created by, of course, Scott Snyder and drawn by Greg Capullo, like, these guys are just, it's insane how these guys are responsible for Gotham's creation and everything important that happens in the history of Gotham, and will be responsible for its destruction. It's so unbelievably amazing how the court is responsible for so many things in Gotham's history. So yeah, I really like the court. The court's Great villain. Can't wait to see it. I like them. I like their storyline. Batman vs. Robin was pretty okay. It's a pretty okay adaptation of the Court of Owls story. I hope they do it a lot more justice in Gotham Knights, but we'll see. Harvey Dent. Harvey. Harvey's about there. I think Harvey's about there. Of course, Long Halloween got his face covered, half of his face covered by acid. That's what he looks like that now. Long Halloween was a great introduction for him. This animated series was a great rendition of Harvey Dent. Absolutely loved it. Tommy Lee Jones was a I don't even want to talk about Tommy Lee Jones' portrayal of Two-Face in Batman Forever. It was just no thank you. No thank you, sir. I'll just ignore that. And then Aaron Eckhart's portrayal of Two-Face was just so good. And like what came out of his mouth, and just like probably one of the greatest quotes in the history of movies. And that you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become a villain. And it's a very great quote. And it pretty much applies to all life. And how they describe it, like the Joker was like trying to turn in the Dark Knight, tried to turn the best of, because he knew he wanted everyone to lose hope, because by showing everyone that he could turn someone even as good as him. And it was great. And then another with really Aaron Eckhart's Harvey Dent as Two-Face. And saying that they tried to be decent men in an indecent time. It really just speaks to how Harvey believed in this, but was so scared that everything could go off the rails. He just never knew. So yeah, Harvey's character deserves to be there. Bane. Bane's right there. And we are of course not talking about, oh, I'm gonna run into wall like Arkham series Bane. Besides Arkham Origins, oh, I'm gonna try to kill you by running into wall. I'm big brute. Rah. I'm not talking about that shit. I'm talking about Nightfall Bane, Arkham Origins Bane, and Tom King's like last couple of issues, pretty much last major story arc with Batman, which was his Bane story arc. So, and that's the Bane, that's the Bane, and also Dark Knight Rises, shit. And that Bane is very, very strong. He is a very, very strong man. Also like addicted and pumped up on venom. But Bane is so unbelievably smart. Bane's so unbelievably smart. Like, he figured out who Batman was, and he was in his house and broke his back as the Batman in his own house. So I just, when Bane is written properly as this really technical mastermind, he's such a good villain when he's written properly. And when he's written poorly, probably about here. Probably about C. But written great. He's an S tier. Ooh. Ra's al Ghul. I put Ra's behind Jason. Ra's is, of course, very important to the Batman mythos, and of course with his daughter being Talia, and him being the grandfather, Damien. But Ra's is pretty much the one of the very few enemies who Batman is respected by. The only reason Ra's cares to even deal with Batman is because he respects him. He respects him for his mind and his physical capabilities. This dude, Ra's al Ghul, the Demon's Head, wants Batman, has always consistently wanted Batman to take the Demon's Head and become the new head of the League of Assassins. So I think just for that reason alone, like, you gotta put Ra's right there. This dude has lived for thousands of years. For almost 1,000 years, and... Oh yeah, no, thousands of years. And he's... and led the League of Assassins, and he wants this guy because he is so scared and also so astonished at what he could be, that he wants him to take his place, and that he's just such a great, like, psychological, physical, he's a great psychological villain for Batman, and that he makes Batman consider, like, what his life could be like if he just didn't have his one rule. So yeah. Ooh. Oh, Jonathan Crane, the Scarecrow. Right there. Scarecrow's the embodiment of fear. So, but Scarecrow is not real. Scarecrow sometimes can be the big boss, but I think Jonathan's really just he's no physical threat to Batman. Like, let's get it out of the way. Not a single peck of physical threat to Batman. He's an amazing psychological threat, and what he can do with the Sphere Toxin, and when he is done right, he can be an amazing character. So, but when he's done wrong, he's really just a Scarecrow. But yeah, Victor Freeze, aka Mr. Freeze. Victor. No, not that. I think Victor's right there. If Heart of Ice never happens, Victor is, along with Polka Dot Man and fucking Condiment King over here. He's a guy with a freaking ice gun because he's a perp. But what Paul Dini and Bruce Timm did for him was just so unbelievably amazing. He's this tragic character who he just wants to save his dying wife. He just wants to save Nora. That's all he wants. Whoever stands in his way from people will die. He will kill Batman if he has to. He doesn't want to kill anybody. Victor does not want to kill anybody. He does not want to hurt anybody. He just wants to save his dying wife, and I think that's truly amazing, and that he's a villain in the sense of, like, oh, he does wrong things. but he's a hero in the sense that he wants love again. So I really admire that. Penguin, Oswald Cobblepot, pretty much hand in hand with Two-Face. Those two are pretty much the same thing. Only reason is, like, Oswald, of course, came from immense wealth. He was screwed over by the Waynes, and then here we go. Oswald's a great crime boss, and that, like, he'll rival Joker when it comes to, like, arms dealing and stuff. Like, Penguin's probably the top black market arms dealer in the DC universe because he's got a lot of money. Penguin's basically Batman if he was a spoiled brat. That's pretty much it. So, but, like, of course, like, not as smart. If Batman was a smart brat, of course he wouldn't be as smart. And last but certainly not least, is Pamela Isley, aka Poison Ivy. Pamela. I'll put Pamela above Harley because she's a great mind, and she's really, like, what we would call now a tree hugger. Pamela just wants to save the planet. Pamela just wants to save the planet because, yes, as human beings we are destroying it, and she's going about it the wrong way, but, like, in killing everybody. But what Pamela can do with her toxin alone, all she has to do is mix it with kryptonite, and she can control Superman. She has literally controlled Superman. So that's an amazing thing about Pamela's character. And that if she wanted to take over the world, she really could. She really, really could. But Pamela just wants to save the Earth. She's not out here to make friends. She's just wants the planet to live. Like, do not tell me that you have not looked at Poison Ivy that way. You're lying to yourself. So, I just think that Pamela's right here because she can take over the world if she wanted to, but it's not her vibe, man. So, yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Would I switch anything around? Nah, probably not. Yeah, probably not. Yeah, I would pretty much keep it this way. Because, like, full disclosure here, these are all amazing characters. They are amazing characters. Great villains, some of them are. Amazing characters, every single one of them. Batman has the best rogues gallery in all comics, in my opinion. Like the only person who can rival his rogues gallery is Spider-Man. That's really all that can rival Batman's rogues gallery is Spider-Man. But, like, no one's gonna rival this guy. This guy is probably the greatest villain in the history of ever. So, but yeah, pretty much that's the list. Let's go over it again. D tier: Anarchy, Mad Hatter, Firefly, Professor Pig. C tier: Man-Bat and Roman Sionis, Black Mask. B tier: Killer Croc, Basil Carlo, Clayface, Prometheus. Doctor Strange, but Hugo Strange, the Ventriloquist and Mr. Scarface, Victor Zsasz, Jonathan Crane, Scarecrow, Floyd Lawton, Deadshot, Slade Wilson, Deathstroke, the Terminator, Talia al Ghul, Selena Kyle Catwoman, Ra's al Ghul, Jason Todd Red Hood, Oswald Cobblepot, the Penguin, Harvey Dent Two-Face, Harleen Quinzel, Harley Quinn, Pamela Isley, Poison Ivy, Thomas Elliot Hush, Victor Freeze, Mr. Freeze, Edward Nygma, the Riddler, Bane, the Court of Owls, the Batman Who Laughs, and of course, number 1 is the Joker. So, if you guys got any debates, love to hear them. I don't think there'll be a lot of debates because not a lot of people really know these characters as much as me. So, but I like to see your thoughts. So, yeah, it's pretty much the video. And once again, I sold out because I'm just making videos at this point. Alright. See you guys see you guys for Batman Arkham Asylum. Probably this weekend. Yeah. Bye.